Before we answer today's viewer question, let me know in the comments, what state and city are you watching from? And if you have any question about Social Security, spousal benefits, divorced spouse benefits, remarriage, retirement checks, supplemental security income, Social Security disability insurance, or Medicare, write your question in the comment section. Your question may be answered in an upcoming video. Now, today's question is very important, especially for anyone who is divorced, thinking about remarrying, or receiving any part of their Social Security based on a spouse or ex-spouse. A viewer asked, if you're receiving benefits under your ex-spouse, my question is, if I were to remarry and I am receiving benefits from my own record, is it affected? This is a very good question, but it has one dangerous point of confusion. Many people say, I am receiving my own Social Security, because the check comes in their name. But that does not always mean the full payment is based only on their own work record. Sometimes your Social Security check can be based only on your own work history. Sometimes it can be based on an ex-spouse's record, and sometimes it can be a combination of both, part from your own record and an extra amount from a spouse or ex-spouse record. That is where remarriage can become a serious issue. So let's break this down clearly. If you are receiving Social Security retirement benefits based only on your own work record, then remarriage generally does not reduce or stop your own retirement benefit. That is the simple answer. Your own retirement benefit is based on your own earnings history, your own work record, and the Social Security taxes you paid during your working years. So if you worked, earned enough credits, filed for retirement, and your check is truly coming from your own record, then getting remarried usually does not affect that retirement check. The Social Security Administration says that if you receive Social Security retirement or disability benefits and you get married, your benefit will stay the same. But other benefits, such as supplemental security income, survivor benefits, divorced spouse benefits, and child benefits, may be affected. That sentence matters, because the viewer said two different things in the same question. First, the viewer mentioned receiving benefits under an ex-spouse. Then the viewer said they are receiving benefits from their own record. Those are not the same thing. If the benefit is truly from the viewer's own record, remarriage is usually not the problem. But if the benefit is connected to an ex-spouse's record, then remarriage can absolutely affect the payment. Here is the rule in plain English. A divorced spouse benefit is different from your own retirement benefit. A divorced spouse benefit is based on your former husband's or former wife's Social Security record. To qualify for benefits on a former spouse's record, the marriage generally must have lasted at least 10 years. The person applying usually must be at least age 62, and generally must not be currently married. That not currently married part is the part many people miss. If you are receiving a divorced spouse benefit based on a living ex-spouse's record, and then you remarry, that divorced spouse benefit generally stops. Not because you did anything wrong, not because your own work history disappeared, but because the rule for divorced spouse benefits usually requires that you are not currently married. So here is the direct answer to the viewer. If you are receiving benefits only from your own Social Security work record, remarriage generally should not affect your own retirement check. But if you are receiving any extra amount from your ex-spouse's record, remarriage may stop that ex-spouse portion. That is the difference. And this is where people get into trouble. Let's say someone receives $1,100 a month from their own work record, but based on their ex-spouse's higher earnings record, Social Security adds a divorced spouse benefit amount that brings the total to $1,450 a month. That person may think, I receive $1,450 in my name, so it is all mine. But from Social Security's side, that check may be made up of two pieces. One piece is from the person's own record. The other piece is a divorced spouse supplement. If that person remarries, the divorced spouse supplement may be affected, even if the person's own retirement benefit continues. So the check may not completely stop, but it could go down. That is why the correct question is not just, will remarriage affect my Social Security? The correct question is, which record is my Social Security benefit being paid from? That is the question every divorced person needs to ask before remarrying. Your own record? Your ex-spouse's record? Your current spouse's record? A deceased spouse's record? Or a combination? because each one can have different rules. Now let's also explain the 50% rule, because this is another area where people misunderstand Social Security spousal benefits. A spouse or divorced spouse benefit can be as much as 50% of the worker's primary insurance amount if claimed at full retirement age. It is not automatically 50% for everyone. If someone claims early, before full retirement age, the spousal benefit can be reduced. Also, you do not receive your own full benefit plus 50% of your ex-spouse's benefit on top of it. That is not how the system works. If you qualify for both your own retirement benefit and a spouse or divorced spouse benefit, Social Security generally pays your own benefit first. Then, if the spouse or ex-spouse amount is higher, Social Security may add an extra amount to bring you up to the higher benefit level. That is why some people are duly entitled. Duly entitled means your check is connected to more than one record. You may be entitled on your own record and also receive an additional amount based on a spouse or ex-spouse record. And when remarriage happens, that additional divorced spouse portion can become the problem. Now, there is another important warning. Do not confuse divorced spouse benefits with survivor benefits. If your ex-spouse is alive, the remarriage rules are usually stricter for divorced spouse benefits. But if the ex-spouse has passed away, then you may be dealing with surviving divorced spouse benefits, and those rules can be different. For survivor benefits, remarriage after age 60 may still allow someone to receive survivor benefits on a deceased spouse's record. For disabled surviving spouses or disabled surviving divorced spouses, age 50 can matter. So if the former spouse is deceased, do not assume the same rule applies. That is a different category. But based on this viewer's question, it sounds like the main issue is whether remarriage affects benefits from an ex-spouse record versus the viewer's own record. So the strongest practical advice is this. Before remarrying, call Social Security or visit your local Social Security office and ask them to confirm exactly how your benefit is being calculated. Ask them these 3 questions. Number 1, is my monthly benefit based only on my own work record? Number 2, am I receiving any divorced spouse benefit from my ex-spouse's record? Number 3, am I duly entitled, meaning part of my check is from my own record and part is from my ex-spouse's record? Do not guess on this, because if you guess wrong, the financial impact can be serious. If remarriage makes you ineligible for a divorced spouse benefit and you do not report the marriage, Social Security may continue paying you incorrectly for a while. Then later, they may send an overpayment notice. And that means they can ask you to pay back money you already spent. That is why reporting marital status changes is important. Marriage, divorce, annulment, or the death of a spouse can all change eligibility, depending on the type of benefit involved. Now let's make this very simple, with examples. Example number 1. You are receiving Social Security retirement only on your own work record. You get remarried. In most cases, your own retirement benefit continues the same. Example number 2. You are receiving divorced spouse benefits based on a living ex-husband or living ex-wife. You get remarried. That divorced spouse benefit will generally stop. Example number 3. You are receiving your own retirement benefit, but your check also includes an additional divorced spouse amount from an ex-spouse's record. You get remarried. Your own retirement portion may continue, but the divorced spouse add-on may be affected. Example number 4. You are receiving survivor benefits from a deceased spouse or deceased ex-spouse. You get remarried after age 60. The rule may be different, and you may still be eligible for survivor benefits. But you need to confirm that directly with Social Security, because survivor benefits are not the same as divorced spouse benefits. This is why the viewer's question is so important. The answer depends on the source of the benefit, not the name on the check, not what someone told you years ago, not what happened to a friend. The source of the benefit is what matters. And here is another thing viewers should know. If you are divorced and your marriage lasted less than 10 years, you generally do not qualify for divorced spouse benefits on that ex-spouse's record. If your marriage lasted 10 years or more, then you may qualify, but only if you meet the other rules. And one of those key rules is usually being unmarried. So remarriage can change everything for someone who is relying on an ex-spouse's record. Now, Should someone avoid remarriage just because of Social Security? That is a personal decision. But what you should not do is walk into remarriage blind. Because depending on your benefit type, remarriage could have no impact, a small impact, or a major impact. For someone receiving only their own retirement check, there may be no Social Security reduction. For someone receiving a divorced spouse benefit, remarriage could stop that benefit. For someone receiving supplemental security income, remarriage could affect the payment because supplemental security income is based on financial need, and a spouse's income and resources may count. So the type of benefit matters. That is the main message. Now, let me answer the viewer one more time directly. If you are receiving Social Security from your own work record, remarriage generally does not affect your own retirement benefit. But if you are receiving benefits under your ex-spouse, or if any part of your check is connected to your ex-spouse's record, remarriage can affect that part. So before you remarry, contact Social Security and ask them to verify whether your benefit is only on your own record or whether you are receiving a divorced spouse benefit. That one call can prevent a benefit reduction surprise or an overpayment problem later. And for everyone watching, this is the takeaway. Do not just ask, will marriage affect my Social Security? Ask, what type of Social Security benefit am I receiving? Because retirement, disability, divorced spouse benefits, survivor benefits, child benefits, and supplemental security income do not all follow the same rules. Your own retirement benefit is usually protected from remarriage. Divorced spouse benefits are where the warning starts. Survivor benefits have special age-based rules, and supplemental security income can change because it looks at household income and resources. So if your situation involves divorce, remarriage, or benefits from another person's record, get confirmation before making a major decision. If you found this helpful, write your state and city in the comments. And if you have a question about Social Security, remarriage, ex-spouse benefits, survivor benefits, supplemental security income, or your own retirement check, write your question below. Your question may help many other people who are dealing with the same confusion. Thanks for watching Social Security Post, and I'll see you in the next video.